Good evening, everyone. I'd like to convene this public information hearing on public questions for the March 6th, 2018 annual city meeting at 5:04 p.m. on Wednesday, February 28th. And let's pledge allegiance to the flag.
Sounds good. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a motion on the agenda?
I'll move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Councilor Busher.
Second.
I have a second from Councilor Dean. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of adopting our agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. So this is a special kind of meeting. We do not require a quorum. Other councilors may join us as we move into our work. But we're really here to try to answer any questions that members of the public might have about the ballot questions on this upcoming March ballot. So 2.01 is about approval of the school budget for fiscal year 2019. And I think we have the wording up there. Can someone who sees it? Okay, so the wording is, shall the voters of the school district approve the school board to expend $84 million? Yes. Oh, thank you, great. Even better. To expend, thank you, CAO, $84,997,349, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. So that's a yes or no. If you vote yes, it means that you do approve spending that amount. So for each item, I'm just going to ask if any member of the public has any questions about that particular item. So are there questions about question 1 on the ballot, approving the school budget for fiscal year 19? Okay, so we'll move on to number 2. Question 2 is regarding formation of a union municipal district to provide regional emergency dispatch. And the exact question is, shall the city of Burlington enter into an agreement for the formation of a union municipal district to be known as the Chittenden County Public Safety Authority for the purpose of providing regional emergency dispatch? So yes means do it, and no means don't do it. Any questions from the public? And we do have the chief of police here and others. Yes, please come forward. If you wouldn't mind using the mic. And just state your name, that'd be great.
Hello, I am Catherine Clark. I'm one of the dispatchers, and I'm also...
I'm sorry, can you just speak right into that mic so we can hear you?
Close.
Hi, I'm Catherine Clark. I'm one of the dispatchers for the City of Burlington. I'm also the union steward for AFSCME Local 1343. And I was just wondering if the council had any concerns about the amount of unknowns regarding this plan.
Question is, does the council have any concerns about the number of unknowns in this plan?
I would want to just make one statement.
You may.
So this is a two-step process. And so the first question is, are the communities that have this item on the ballot interested in forming this regional dispatch center? I think we need to go forward and see if there's interest in that. The second step is really where you roll up your sleeves and understand all the details. And so certainly I have several unanswered questions which that need to be addressed before we take that next step, after we find out if there's at least 3 communities want to move forward, and us being one of them. Yes.
Yes, so there will be, if this passes, there will still be additional work, and there will be required an additional action on behalf of the council to make a decision to join this authority, be part of this authority. And that will be an opportunity to get more information, which will be part of the council's work. Councilor Dean, did you want to add to anything?
I think that one of the fine points is that Burlington does not necessarily have to immediately become part of, if the decision is taken to go ahead, Burlington does not necessarily need to join. It can take its time. So I certainly feel there's an opportunity for the City Council to take additional input and ask or have any questions that do arise, have those answered before we do make a decision to actually join the district. So I think that's assurance to me, at least, as a councilor, that we have the time to make this the best decision that we can.
That second approval process, though, that is through City Council, correct? That's not another public vote, from my understanding?
That would not be a public vote, that will be a city council vote, but we'll have public forums, we'll hear from the public all along that process. And the resolution that put this question on the ballot did direct the Burlington director of the Chittenden County Public Safety Authority to provide a forum to engage the dispatchers in particular regarding the operations. And so we wanted to make sure that not only there would be a general public forum, but there would be a very specific forum to engage the dispatchers.
And I'd just like to add a comment, if that's...
You may add a comment, sure.
Okay. I think our concern is just the process hasn't always been the most inclusive. We have had a few meetings in the past few months, so I think for a lot of us, while we hope that that does play out, a lot are skeptical of that just because of how it went before. So if this does pass on town meeting day, I do hope we are able to have a productive relationship with the city moving forward. I would also just like to add that right now, I have not had any dispatchers approach me in support of this plan. We feel that there are too many unknowns, and we would have liked to see a lot of the operational sides prior to a vote come forward, and we'd just like to make our concern known.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have a firm pledge from the chief that forum with the dispatchers will happen, and I think that you have counselors here that are going to be following that and making sure that that's a robust process. Any other members of the public on item 2? The question on forming, yes, please come forward, sir.
My name is Mark Farnham-Rendino. I'm not a voter in the city of Burlington, and I don't know if it's appropriate for me to make a comment as a voter in the state of Vermont. I just want to ask
We'll be
that
glad to hear
first.
from you.
Okay, so as this is written, it seems to me that it's very likely that voters will misunderstand that voting yes will automatically put us in this municipal district. So that's one comment that I wanted to make. And the other is that there's no information in this. It sort of presupposes that somebody has concluded that there are reasons to do this. I presume financially that somehow there's going to be economies of scale, so to speak. And so I'm just wanted to comment that it's not. It seems likely that people will misunderstand what this is asking and what will result from this. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else on question 2, formation of a union municipal district to provide regional emergency dispatch? Okay, so we'll go on to question 3 on the ballot. Issuance of general obligation bonds for capital improvements authorized. Shall the City Council be authorized to issue general obligation bonds or notes in one or more series in an amount not to exceed $6,100,000 to fund capital improvement infrastructure projects of the city and its departments in furtherance of the city's 10-year capital plan, with the expectation that the University of Vermont and Champlain College will make contributions to the city in support of such 10-year capital plan that will reduce the amount of property taxes needed for future debt service on such bonds or notes? Question. So yes would authorize the city to issue $6.1 million in bonds whose debt service is expected to come from contributions from the university and Champlain College. Any member of the public have any questions about this question 3, general obligation bonds? Okay, so we will keep going. We've been joined by Councilors Paul and Mason. Welcome. Question 4, an advisory ballot question regarding climate action. The question states, shall the voters of Burlington urge the governor and members of the General Assembly of the state of Vermont to A, actively pursue more policies and programs that will lead to achieving the goal of 90% renewable energy for all people in Vermont with firm interim deadlines, and B, ensure that the transition to renewable energy is fair and equitable for all residents with additional support for low-income people or rural communities, question mark? So a yes would say that we want to advise the governor and members of this General Assembly to do those 2 things. Any member of the public on question 4 on the ballot? Any question? Okay, so question 5 is another advisory ballot question regarding local option to fund perpetually affordable housing. And the question is this, quote, shall we, the voters of the city of Burlington, in order to help the city's nonprofit housing organizations build more affordable housing throughout the city, advise the city council to identify and adopt progressive local option revenues, the proceeds of which shall be used exclusively to benefit the city's housing trust fund? Question. So yes is saying, yes, go find these sources of revenues, such revenues, and no says, no, don't do that. So any questions? Any questions from the public on that ballot question 5? Okay. So we'll move on to question 6, advisory ballot question regarding Vermont Air National Guard basing of F-35s at Burlington International Airport. The question is this, quote, shall we, the voters of the city of Burlington, as part of our strong support for the men and women of the Vermont National Guard, and especially their mission to protect the citizens of Vermont, advise the City Council to, 1, request the cancellation of the planned basing of the F-35 at Burlington International Airport, and 2, request instead low noise level equipment with a proven high safety record appropriate for a densely populated area? Question. Any questions from members of the public? Yes, please come forward.
Thank you. My name is Ben Mitchell, and I'm actually entering the Democratic primary for United States House of Representatives. And I drove all the way up here from Westminster to applaud the town of Burlington in this moment where they have a chance to vote on this issue. I do not think that the F-35 is appropriate for Vermont. The scale of this machine is totally out of scale with the Burlington Airport. It's already closed down over 200 units of affordable housing. Vermont needs a lot more affordable housing, as you can see from the ballot question preceding this one. And it is housed in South Burlington, so it's not even, it's being imposed upon another town by the town of Burlington, so it's a little bit like municipal imperialism. But more importantly, that I think it represents, the F-35 is in some ways the most glaring example of the corruption of the military-industrial complex on Washington, D.C. We've already spent $400 billion on this machine, and it doesn't even operate yet. And not only that, we've seen the National Guard, which I've had many friends in the Air National Guard over the years. I know they're all good people doing their jobs, following the orders to the best of their ability. But the level of corruption of the military-industrial complex has gotten to the point where now the military itself is coming and bullying the vote within a town meeting in Vermont, which is kind of a sacred space. And so I encourage the people of Vermont, the people of Burlington specifically, to take this opportunity to stand up to the war machine of the military-industrial complex. We have real priorities in Vermont. We need people. It's very difficult to get through the winter, you know, down south as well as up here. Just making a living, there are so many programs that are needed. $400 billion, just to give you a sense of the scale of what we're talking about. And they're projected to spend another $600 billion. That's just a projection in the life of this machine. To give you a perspective, $400 billion, you know, we currently, as a federal government, only spend $1 billion a year on opiate crisis, or the opiate epidemic. LIHEAP, which we argue about every year, is only $4 billion. This is $400 billion, and it doesn't even work yet. And so I encourage the people of Burlington to take this opportunity in your sacred moment where you get to vote in town meeting issue and to stand up to the military-industrial complex. Even though I'm not from this area, I really applaud you guys for having it on the ballot, and I hope that you'll take this action.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public on question 6, the F-35 question? Okay, we'll move on to the final question on the ballot. This is an advisory question regarding raising the age of sale for tobacco products. And the question is this: shall the voters of Burlington advise the governor and members of the Vermont General Assembly to support raising the age of sale for tobacco products in Vermont from 18 to 21 years of age? Any member of the public have a question or a comment on that one? Okay, very good. Thank you all for coming. I believe that brings us to adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Councilor Paul moves it. Second. Councilor Mason seconds it. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned at 5:20 p.m. Thanks, everybody.